Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton and I come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, there's been all kinds of craziness going on out there in my world this week, and I've had all kinds of calls. I'll tell you what. The world has gone bozo. I think people have had too much isolation. Anyway, we are absolutely inundated with cases. I cannot even express to you how many cases that I've taken leads on in the last week. It's more than I can count on my 10 little fingers, I can tell you that. And it's like the world has gone crazy with this COVID thing. On the one hand, you have all of our kids on the social media, and a lot of them are bored to tears. Some of them are very depressed. Others of them are, adventuresome, shall we say, taking all kinds of chances, trying things out, putting together apps that they normally would never be on. And mom and dad about had it with having them home all the time. And now there's no end in sight since they announced that there won't be school in the fall. I'm like, oh, man, buckle up. We are in for a long, hard ride. You see, our business is brought to you by Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. We're a small but mighty organization, and we've been doing this 12 years now here in the Inland Empire. We basically take calls from parents who are missing their kids because what you're seeing is so many more kids now are running away. They don't intend to run away. It isn't like the old days where they just get mad at mom and dad or the family's all broken down in a divorce and the kids are going crazy. It isn't like that so much anymore. There's still some of that. But what you're seeing is that a lot of kids don't intend to run away. They meet somebody on the internet, they fall in love, they just are playing a game, having a good time, and they're good kids, but all of a sudden this guy seems like it might be the guy of their dreams or the girl of their dreams, and they go out and they meet up with some guy, and they get in the car with him, and next thing you know, poof, they're gone. And so that is how we're starting to see a lot of our cases of kids, especially lately. Lately, I've really been inundated with cases of autistic kids, those kids that are on that high spectrum of autism where, they're on the internet. They don't understand what a pedophile is. They don't understand why some guy wants their naked photo, and they just are having a good time and they're playing around and not taking it seriously. And they think this guy's going to like them a little bit more, or girl is going to like them a little bit more. When it comes to sending naked photos, there are more guys than girls that are doing it, but there are plenty of girls, and girls are more likely to go out and meet up with them. What you'll see is just like a case happened over here in Rancho Cucamonga not too long ago, is that they will start to get blackmailed once they send that naked photo. And the next thing you know, some other guy is calling them up. They may block the first guy, but the next guy is sending them a text or an email saying, whoa, I got your photo. Hey, I can help you stop this guy. I'll charge you a little bit of money, but let's meet up and talk about it, and I'll help you get that photo back. And this girl hasn't yet figured out they're all the same guy. Once a pedophile's figured out that he's got, or a pimp or a predator, that he's got a live one on the line there, then he's not going to slow down. Well, why do I share all this with you? Well, I wanted this show this week to talk about the many faces of pimping. I guess it's probably triggered with me because of the Epstein case and Giselle Maxwell being arrested. Pimping is not about sex. Okay, let me just say that again, loud and clear. Pimping is not about sex. It's about power. It's about control. And it's about money, making money. And in the case of those large scale rings, they're making tens of millions of dollars. I did a show here recently about how the Inland Empire has been involved in at least 5 different large scale sex trafficking rings, where the thing is so big that when you, the sex buyer, call up on one of those sex ads, you get a telemarketing center. And on top of it, what is happening now is that you're having a lot of law enforcement running reverse stings. It is against the law to buy commercial sex in California. And they are going to catch you and they are going to change your life forever. So, what I want to talk about is, how does pimping work? It permeates every level of our society. You know, we have high rollers like Epstein, and I'm going to talk about how he was different than your common street pimp. But pimping has been taken over by organized crime. It is huge money, and gangs are in it. You have gang pimps in a big way. You have organized crime of big guys. You have the smooth talking CEO pimp. Those are the ones that run those modeling agencies and amateur porn rings. And you think you're going to make a little extra money taking your photo on Snapchat. Hey, mom and dad, did you know Snapchat has Snap Cash said right on there? Now you can monetize a selfie. I'm thinking, what kind of selfie is my kid selling here? Not a picture of your dog or cat. These kids are making a little extra money taking those cute little porns and their cute little bodies and sending them off so they can buy a new pair of Nikes. What they don't know is their life is about to change forever. And so that is the work of me and kids, is to go out and talk to your kids in school. You remember that concept, don't you? When kids went to school? Well, we haven't been doing very many presentations in school. That's why we need your donation. Our organization, by the way, was ran because we went out to the public. I believe in earning money, and I certainly appreciate donations from the public, but I believe in earning money and being accountable with money. And so we would go out and make presentations and sell our books, and yes, you would donate. And we went out to schools and we educated over 400,000 kids and parents all about how not to let your kid get caught up by a pimp. You say, if you sit down with your child, I got a call this week. It was an interesting call by a man that I greatly admire. He is a district attorney somewhere in the United States, I won't say where, and he was having one of those very difficult discussions with his children. And his children, who are in their early teens, are going, oh, Dad, you're such a rag on, this doesn't really happen. And he said, Opal, can you give me some power, some ammunition? And in 5 minutes, I sent him over like 6 cases. One of them was one I shared with you just last week. This beautiful young girl, 13 years old, up in Bakersfield, bored, playing on the internet, sent off that naked photo, and the guy began to blackmail her. She went out and hooked up with him, trying to get it back, and he brought her down here to the LA area and put her in forced prostitution. Over and over and over again with the public, enforced prostitution. The last anyone saw of her, she was screaming and running, and he got her back. He raped her, he killed her, and he burned her body. I can guarantee you that little 13-year-old girl, who is absolutely beautiful, was absolutely beautiful, never once understood that she was dealing with a real live pimp when she was talking to that guy on the internet, and she thought it was just all fun and games, and she sent that naked photo. That is the important work we do, and we can only do it if you helped us fund it. And right now, more than ever in any time in my life, I've lost all sense of shame and embarrassment. If this corporation is going to be able to survive this, the governor announced this week that schools aren't reopening. We are looking at months of being able to have increased workload, increased cases, numbers of kids calling in, your kids, your grandkids, your parents calling in going, oh my God, can you help me? We have a situation here, and my kid is starting to cut. They're starting to run away from home. They can't sleep. They don't know what to do. And I can tell that they're in trouble on the internet, but they won't admit to it. Can you show me how to report it? Can you show me how to get this kid help? Can you show me how to give me help? Can you pray for me and give me guidance and wisdom? You see, when that happens in your family with your child, it is the loneliest place on earth. And that is the work that we do. But it takes every resource that we have to make this happen. If you're interested in supporting our work, please go to millionkids.org. That is Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. Go in there, hit that donate button or get the P.O. box and send us a check. We'd greatly appreciate you. Be right back.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
AM 590, The Answer.
Well, hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. We come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. I so much appreciate my partnership with AM 590. There are amazing people. All this talk out there in the world about how bad media is. And I'll tell you what, I watch TV. There's some bad media. I'm not even sure it's media. It's like a rolling opinion poll. But AM 590 is fighting the good fight. And they care about you and me and our families and surviving this COVID crisis. And I appreciate them giving us this time to be able to keep you informed. If you want to see or hear the archived versions of these, they're all at millionkids.org. And you can also, if you have relatives that want to hear this show and they're out of the area, just tell them to go to am590theanswer.com. That's am590theanswer.com at 3 o'clock on Saturday, California time, and they can hear too. So I want to start out with CEO pimping because there is a broad spectrum of pimping. Most of us think of that guy in a fur coat with all the jewelry, and he's getting out of some big Lamborghini kind of thing. Well, there are those people that happen, and they drive Lamborghinis because this is a very lucrative business. Why not? The person who is earning the money in commercial sex in sex trafficking never gets to keep the money. Part of pimping is to literally lure you in, make you think they're going to give you the greatest opportunity in the whole world, that they're going to believe in you and they're going to take care of you. That's the most common one. I'll take care of you, baby. I'll be your daddy. Except they end up keeping all the money that you are earning, and they decide how much you're going to earn and exactly what you're going to do to get it. Well, the highest level of pimping is somebody like Jeffrey Epstein. That's called a CEO pimp, okay? Epstein was kind of a unique pimp in that he never really had a stable of girls that he put out there, but there were a lot of commonality. You see, in pimping, it's related to the money that they get out of the sexual transaction. And sometimes they get all the money. We'll talk about a couple of pimps here in Moreno Valley that was just absolutely brutal, absolutely brutal. They kept all the money. The girls had quotas of 6, 8, 10, 15 dates a night. And they never got to keep the money. In fact, they didn't even get fed very much. One of the most common signs, if you think somebody's a victim of trafficking, is they're very hungry. By the way, they're sleep deprived. If your child thinks that's a great way to get into this and make money, they need to know they will work these kids 20 hours a day out there. Well, Epstein, what he did is he sent his bottom girl, Maxwell, out. And Epstein, as you recall, lived in this billion-dollar mansion. It was just gorgeous. And Maxwell would go out to the poor part of town, and she would be the recruiter, if you will, for that. It's called a bottom girl. Out on the street, just call it something else, but we don't talk like that on this station. So we'll just call it a bottom girl. And in this case, Maxwell would go out and say to girls, hey, you want to earn a little money? That's called the easy money scheme. You can get $200 for massaging his feet. You never really have to do anything else. Now, of course, if you want to do more, that's up to you, but you certainly don't have to do it in the initial transaction. These girls from the poor part of town would get in that mansion, and then they'd start to hear the stories about how one girl got put through college, and one girl got a convertible, and one girl got all new wardrobe, and she'd say, well, what do I got to do? And that's when it began. 200 for this, 400 for that. But it wasn't about him making money. In his case, it's more about keeping celebrities happy and indebted to him. So he did make financial gain, but it wasn't from the sale of young bodies. It was from turning those young bodies over to a group of celebrities and then taking photos of them. And he made his money out of the fact that he would blackmail them. I bet you there's some very famous people out there that are sweating bullets that were offering to pay him to get those photos back. Well, that would have worked until the FBI got in there and started doing something about it. I find it interesting that the investigation stopped before it got to Bill Clinton, but then I digress. I can say that on this channel because you do conservative talk radio here, but it is interesting how selective some of this has been. That is CEO pimping. The other version of CEO pimping is, hey, you want to be a model, you want to be a makeup artist, you want to be in reality TV, and they will normally have another female working with this girl to show her the moves, to show her how to make the photographs. They'll actually make videos. You'll fill out an application. You think you got a real life job, that you're really on a roll, that you're going to be discovered. And then the next thing you know, the blackmail begins. And that is CEO style of pimping. We have madams. Remember madams? Those are not that is not a dead concept. We just had a large ring out in Palm Springs a year and a half ago that had girls all across the nation. They were being sold. They were adult women. And in that case, they did not get charged with sex trafficking, but they did get charged with prostitution and solicitation, and they were given very large fines. But many of those girls did not get to keep a large amount of that money. Do you know we have family pimping right here in the Inland Empire? That's right. There are about 3 cases of it going on. What happens when mom's a pimp? That should be the headline for that. Well, that usually means that mom's on meth, that she's on heroin, and she's got a boyfriend. He's usually a live-in boyfriend. And what they'll often put the kids on drugs. We see that all the time. Sometimes they take photographs of those kids and put it out for child pornography. We have a case here in Riverside County where we picked up our officers, our law enforcement officers. They have a full-time job going undercover, getting these kinds of people, including sex buyers. In this case, the little girl looked like she was 14, and she was. And our guys went out there and said, honey, what are you doing? And she said, well, my mom made me do it. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But it turns out her 17-year-old sister had been put out for almost 3 years, and they were working on the 11-year-old sister. Yes, sirree, that's right here in the Inland Empire. And it is happening, and those kids were being sold and exploited and trafficked by their very own mother right here in Riverside County. So they don't all look like big guys in fur coats with all the jewelry. Sometimes they look like they're very wealthy, and you're about to get rich. What you're about to get is exploited. I go into schools. I remember that word, schools. I used to go into schools. Now I do a lot of Zooms anywhere I can, and I talk to your kids. Do not try to take shortcuts on money. That's called the easy money scheme. Easy money will be the most expensive money you ever earn. And I'm going to tell you, it will cost you for the rest of your life. It will change who you are in your soul. The reason this is so important to me is our kids are getting involved, many of them before they go through puberty, but usually they're 13, 14 years old is that magic age when all of a sudden they're feeling their Wheaties. They look in the mirror and they know they're hot, and they say to themselves, hey, I'm giving it away. I might as well make a little money on it. And the next thing you know, the blackmail begins. And it will change their life forever. Sex is the only bodily function that is connected to the soul. It will change their personal identity. It will change their moral identity. It will change their sexual identity. And it will change their way they look at relationships for the rest of their life. If there is ever a time, Mom and Dad, for us to stop and educate our kids, especially now that they're online 24/7, 87% of kids who have cell phones sleep with their phone. I got that number wrong. Yeah, no, that number is right, 87%. And if they hook up with the wrong person and send that photo, it will change who they are for the rest of your life. If you believe in our work, I hope that you will go to millionkids.org, find that donate button, go in there and help us out any way you can. I know a lot of you are hurting. I hear you. You're out there, you're unemployed, you're laid off, you're working somewhere part-time, you're doing everything you can to try to keep your kids safe from predators. At the same time, you're trying to keep food on the table. These are tough times. If you're hurting, keep your money to yourself. We don't want you to hurt. But if you can help us out in any way, shape, or form, go to millionkids.org, hit that donate button, send us a check. This is Opal Singleton, and we're up against that break. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited, Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited, Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. We're talking about a really hard subject today, and I hesitated. Now, last week we talked about, well, at least the week before, we talked about gratitude. I'm still working on that one, by the way. I hope you are too. When the days get dark and you wonder how in the heck you're going to make this work, go to gratitude. Just sit down and shut the door and decide that you are going to literally make a list of everything you're grateful for. It is the only way some days I survive. But we are talking about pimping. And I'm telling you that because pimps now, 99% of pimping takes place online. And our kids are online. And so they believe it won't happen to them. And they get sucked in and they have no idea. And most of them will not tell. They will be a lot more likely to tell if you set them down and have dialogue with them. Go to Million Kids Facebook page and draw up some of those stories that are on my Facebook page and have a dialogue. Don't be wagging your finger. I know I'm kind of wagging my finger at you, but I get all excited when I think about some of the cases I'm working with, and I think just how tragic. How tragic. What if Million Kids could have gotten there? What if we could have talked to those kids first and let them see? I know when I used to go into schools, kids would say to me, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known you a month before. Hey, can they get my photo off Snapchat? Yeah, they can. Or, I'm scared for my little sister. My mom lets that kid do anything. She wouldn't let me do that, but now they let my little sister do this. And I say, be a leader. Understand how it works, Mom and Dad. Well, what I'm going to talk about is kind of hard here, but it is very real. These are cases from Riverside County, mostly Moreno Valley, some of Hemet. I've been working with CASA out there in Hemet. That's Coalition Against Sexual Assault. They're great partners, and I really appreciate it. Over in San Bernardino, I've been working with Children's Fund and doing a lot of training. If you'll watch me on Facebook or go to millionkids.org or childrensfund.org, you will see we're about to have a bunch more training in August and September on this, where you can go on Zoom and see my getting old mug. I'll tell you, it's scary. We're making that documentary, and I'm an important part of that thing. And I look at that and I think, dear Lord, why did you wait until I'm old, fat, and ugly? Anyway. On we go. I want to talk about guerrilla pimping. You can spell that either way, either like the ape or like the warrior, but either way, it's nasty pimping. These are not boyfriend pimps. Maybe I ought to start with boyfriend pimps and work my way to guerrilla pimps in the next session. Okay, I'll do that. Because boyfriend pimping works into guerrilla pimping. So let me back up a bit. What is boyfriend pimping? It's a boyfriend who does not have your best interest at heart. He comes on. A lot of times our girls meet these guys on the internet and they chase them down. I've had case after case where the girls reached out to them and sent that naked photo and chased them down. And then they actually pay for an Uber to go out and meet up with them. Or the guy will send somebody up to them. They do this on dating sites. Tinder, Meet Me, Plenty of Fish, My Laugh Out Loud, Match, Zoosk, I can't, yeah, and they can be teen dating sites, but they can be adult dating sites. The Bulldog Gang, they preyed on adults dating sites. They specifically like Plenty of Fish because the women were so gullible, and it looked like a love relationship. If you're on dating, you want to be loved. You want to fall in love. You're looking for that fantasy, and I'm going to tell you, they're on there, and they are willing to sell it to you. They come on, and they look good. And if you're dealing with this with a teenage girl, what will happen is he will promise her the moon. He just going to take care of her. I talk to kids. If you're looking to be taken care of by somebody else, you're looking to be exploited. The way you don't get exploited is I don't know about my English, Lee. It's getting really bad. The way you stand up to a predator is you know who you are and what you're worth. And you are so valuable, you're not going to take chances. You're not going to fall for those low life, easy, money grubbing kinds of things on there. They come in and they're going to be your boyfriend. And what happens on this is this girl is bored and she's sure this is the guy for her. And you cannot see what is happening on the other end. You don't see what kind of greasy, lousy creeps these guys are. You're in love. I always say the minute you meet these people in person, you know you made the greatest mistake of your life. Mom and dad are over here going, you know, you're grounded, clean up your room. And this guy's saying, hey, baby, you're hot. And this is the reason why I say pimping isn't about sex. It's about money. It's about power. And it's about control. He begins to move in on her. I'm going to take care of you, baby. You're daddy's little princess. I'm going to give you all that stuff. Your folks don't believe in you. And he begins to build that barrier between you and her. And it's 83% of sex trafficking victims are female, and 60% of them are recruited by another female working for a pimp. Talk about the many faces of pimping. This girl thinks it's okay. This other girl's in there. She's doing it. Everybody's making money. She gets to be daddy's little princess, and off they go. Well, let me tell you about Lawrence Randall Jr. He just got his sentence a few months back. Thank you to the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, an officer there, a beautiful young lady officer who beat her brains out getting this guy in prison. Get this, he had 28 victims, mostly from Moreno Valley. These kids were 15 to 18 years old. He met them on social media. He lured them in, and he would then coerce them into trying it out. Pretty soon, he got violent, and he got violent in a hurry, and this was one nasty piece of work. This guy literally would bang their heads on a toilet seat until the toilet seat crashed or cracked, okay? He choked them, he strangled them, he threatened to kill them, he raped them with a gun. This guy was one nasty piece of work. He would then break them and sell them out for forced sex across the United States. 28 victims out of Moreno Valley, 15 to 18 years old, being sold across the United States, and he tattooed their faces with his gang moniker. Let me say that one more time. These beautiful girls, and I've seen some of their faces, they were beautiful girls. He tattooed their faces with his brand, his gang name. He is what you call a guerrilla pimp. He doesn't care if these girls live or die. He is going to do that. We've had a couple of others out of Hemet. Simpson is one of them. Morris is another. They were engaged in street sex out in Hemet when the Hemet Police Department, by the way, Hemet PD's got a new chief of police. Welcome, sir. We're real excited to have you on board. I'm hearing really good stuff about you, and we can't wait to partner with you. But the police department out there is taking on commercial sex out of Hemet. And they found these kids that were being forced into giving sex in a car. 80% of street sex takes place in a car. And believe me, you will be arrested. We are not looking the other way. And these young kids were picked up doing this. They were 15 and 17 years old. Before it was over, they found 14, I believe the number was 14 more victims. 10 of them were under the age of 18. So if you think this is not taking place place in your community in the Inland Empire, in Riverside, and in San Bernardino County, you're wrong, because it is taking place, and COVID or no COVID, our law enforcement officers, I don't care where you're at, you're not going to be able to hide. As long as we can keep funded, they're going to go out there and do what they can to rescue our kids. And people like Million Kids is going to do everything we can to educate your child. What I learned is that once kids understand that, yes, this can happen to them. Yeah, you have to overcome that denial. They think, nah, it's not going to happen to me. But once they understand, oh my gosh, this happened to this beautiful 13-year-old girl who went out on a date and never came home. And she was put out for prostitution, forced prostitution. Before it was over, she was raped, she was strangled, she was burned. Her body was burned, and she was found dead. The last anybody saw her, she was screaming and running for her life, but she could not get away. Everybody thinks it isn't going to happen to them. I don't want our kids to ever have to experience it. If we can teach our kids about the dangers of the internet and how it works, technology is not bad. Technology will educate our kids, but technology can also take away our kids if we don't educate them. If you will support our work, go to millionkids.org. That is MILLION, millionkids.org. Hit that donate button. Send us a check. Help us out here. We got to stay in business. We got to take all these calls. This is Opal Singleton. We're up against a break. We'll be right back.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Nothing beats the services offered by Strike a Pose in Covina. From weddings, anniversaries, pregnancies, family heritage photos, or professional headshots for business cards and publicity, Jamie and Steve will do your makeup, get the perfect lighting and pose, and edit them so you look your best. These folks are the best in the business. Go online to strikeapose.net and make an appointment today.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about the many faces of pimping taking place right here in the Inland Empire. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't at least talk about foreign national trafficking in your community. I did a whole show on it a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd give you a bit of a break. That there is gang trafficking that's recruiting our kids on dating sites, but there's also foreign national trafficking. It usually comes in the sign of a Thai massage parlor. Now, not every Thai massage parlor is bad. There's some good ones out there, but many of them have people who don't speak English who have been brought in. They happen in cantinas. There are cantinas out in the Inland Empire in San Bernardino and Riverside County where they're having sex late at night when everybody else is getting partying in there. All of a sudden, you're starting to see that is taking place in Hispanic communities. You have kids that have been brought up here on literally on the unaccompanied minor program. It just frosts my cookies, by the way, when I hear all this stuff about how our government is exploiting people in those immigration camps. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm going to tell you that they are being far more exploited by that coyote that they owe money to. You see them out there on the streets running up and down trying to sell you flowers and oranges and ice cream cones so that they can pay back their coyote. That is trafficking. And then what you start to see is that you start to see Chinese sex trafficking rings and massage parlors. You start to see Hispanic sex trafficking ring out in the agricultural communities. All of that is pimping, and it is taking place with large-scale sex trafficking rings that have multiple pimps on them and high levels of hierarchy. And in many cases, the pimping is taking place using illegal cell phones in prison, where they're selling our kids who met some guy on a dating site, and the money is going back to Mexico so they can recruit more kids and get them up here to sell them, to exploit them, to make tens of millions of dollars. That's all about money laundering. And then what happens is that money goes back to Mexico or to China or to Taiwan or to Bangkok. And those are all kinds of pimping. There's one more kind of pimping I want to raise your mind to, because you may not realize it, and that is bottom girl pimping. Literally 60% of our girls are recruited by another girl, sometimes in schools. Now, it's a little bit harder right now because our kids aren't in school, but it's not as hard for the pimp to recruit our kids because many of our families need money. And our kids think, hey, I'm doing it anyway. Let's make a little extra money. And some girl comes along to them, offers to get their nails done, help them smoke a little weed, maybe go off and go on an outing somewhere. And the next thing you know, this girl is selling her into a gang or setting up dates. And what a girl does in that case is they get them a little high. They take the photos of them when they're naked. They put them out in sex ads. They arrange the dates. They show them what to do, and they begin to blackmail these kids. And that is called a bottom girl or something like that out on the street. So do not be surprised if your daughter suddenly she's maybe 14 and she has a 17-year-old girlfriend, or maybe she's 17 and she has a 24-year-old girlfriend. You begin to ask questions. Do not be bamboozled. Now, how do you report this? Well, if you see somebody that's in trouble, what you do is you call 911 and you say, I think this might be sex trafficking because I see a girl or a guy who's being exploited. Let me tell you, I didn't cover LGBT trafficking, and I didn't cover male sex trafficking. Let me come back to that. We had a case out in Palm Desert. His name was David Joder. He was a teacher, by the way. And in his case, he would go to skateboard parks, and he would give our kids these skateboards, and then they would, or helmets or knee pads. And then he would have them over to his house, and he'd give them a little beer and some pizza. And pretty soon he's playing video games with them. And the next thing you know, he's turning tricks with them. And that boy is engaged in illicit sex. And once he had them blackmailed, he began to sell them out over a 5-state area for his sex trafficking ring. So this can happen to guys. What I want you to see is that we need to educate our kids about how all this happens. And so if you know of somebody who's being violated and their life is in danger, do not get involved at that point. Do not get involved. My apologies. I have to do this show from my home and I can't stop that phone. Anyway, do not get involved because they're dangerous people. Anybody who will sell another person's body is a dangerous person. So call 911 and tell them you think that they're being sex trafficked. But in the meantime, if you see a situation, maybe it's a brothel, Maybe you know of somebody who might be in danger. Maybe you're seeing a cat house or a residential brothel. If you know of a situation of somebody who might be at risk or being exploited or exploiting others, call this number. I'm going to give it twice. 1-888-3737-888. 1-888-3737-888. You can report anonymously. That is the hotline, by the way, that was set up by John Walsh of America's Most Wanted. It goes into the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And literally, it is a situation where you can report anonymously. Now, I'm going to give you my personal email. By the way, a lot of people want to Facebook friend me. I'm not on my own Facebook. I am, but I'm not on there, so don't bother doing that. But you can go to Million Kids and go to info@millionkids.org, or go to Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. While you're there, you might want to donate if you want to help us stay in business and have the resources to handle this flood of calls, these floods of emails that we are taking. You know, you can reach me, Opal, at millionkids.org. In the meantime, I want to tell you, these have been the hardest days of me and Kid's life. I don't have any other way to say it. I don't want you to donate if you're hurting yourself, because I care about you. We have been in business 12 years because we're not greedy. We never wanted to be World Vision or, one of those big agencies where we build a big organization and have lots of overhead. No, we don't have big salaries on here. We don't. Most of our people are volunteers. And so when you donate, it goes for the cause. But I will tell you that if we can't make presentations going into the fall, our future looks very bleak because of the fact that we have more and more need every day. If you want to put your money locally in the Inland Empire and you want your money to go to a cause that helps women and children and a cause that will fight sexual exploitation of all kinds, whether it's child pornography or forced prostitution, or young kids and sextortion, kids that are being blackmailed, kids that go out and meet up online with somebody and then they get exploited. Let me tell you, you couldn't give it to a better corporation than millionkids.org. That is MILLION, millionkids.org. I hope you share this show with your family. They're archived at millionkids.org. Download this and share this show. Your kid thinks it can happen to you. Go to our Facebook site and show them how it happens. It happens, and it happens to kids who never once thought they would end up in prostitution, that never once thought that literally 100 people were trying to get money out of them and blackmail them and threatening to destroy them. If your kid is starting to shut down, if they're starting to cut, if they can't sleep, if they're thinking of running away, if they're getting really, really secretive, if they're being controlled, if they're kind of panicked and anxious, sit and talk with your kids. Do not look at them and wag your finger and say, do you have a naked photo online? That's going to get you nowhere. Put your arm around them, sit down, take a deep breath, say a couple of prayers and say, is it possible you might have a naked photo? If you do, I'm going to be here with you. It's not going to be easy, but we are going to be okay. And sit with them. And then use those numbers. You can tell me at Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. I'll get you some direction. Or go to 1-888-3737-888 and report that anonymously if you can. I hope you have a great week. Put your arms around your family and tell them how proud you are of them, how important they are to you. And if you have it in your heart, go to millionkids.org and donate. Have a great week.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology, coming to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hey, I want to tell you about one of my heroes, Doris Anderson. She's a realtor over at Remax Realty in Upland. Her phone number, 951-733-8899. Doris has pledged $500 from every house she closes. There's a woman who supports an important cause.